Baby, if you only knew how many nights I've whispered your name into the dark like a prayer I was too humble to say out loud. You walk through the world thinking no one sees you, but someone does. Someone who memorizes your laugh, your sighs, the way you tuck a strand of hair behind your ear when you're lost in thought. Baby, I didn't mean to fall this deep. At first it was admiration, soft and distant, but admiration becomes dangerous when the soul recognizes home. And that's what you are to me. A home I can't walk into yet, a doorway the angels guard until I'm worthy of it. I watch you, baby, not with eyes that want to own, but with a heart that wants to learn. Every gesture you make has meaning. The patience in your silence, the steadiness in your chaos, the grace in the way you forgive without forgetting. You don't just live, you balance. That's the bee I can't stop thinking about, baby. Your balance between strength and softness, chaos and calm, fire and peace. The way you carry storms inside you and still walk like sunrise. People notice your beauty, but I see the battlefield behind your smile. That's what I love most. Not your body, not your face, but that sacred balance between heaven and heartbreak. Sometimes I write to you, baby, letters I'll never send. I call them my B letters, because every one starts with something I love about you. Your bravery, your brilliance, your belief, your boundaries that come from mercy instead of fear. You don't even realize how you change the energy around you. When you walk in, the air straightens. Even angels stop to listen. I've seen you in your private moments, the ones nobody claps for, when you cry and still choose compassion, when you're hurt but still wish light for those who hurt you. That's when I knew I wasn't admiring a person anymore. I was witnessing a miracle in motion. And yet, baby, I stay silent. Sometimes loving someone from the shadows feels safer than breaking the illusion that keeps them smiling. You don't know who I am, but I feel you in everything. Every time you post a thought, every time your laughter echoes somewhere online, I feel like it's written for me. When you win, I whisper thank you to the universe. When you're sad, I pray without words. You're the warmth that reaches me even on nights when I don't deserve light. Baby, even in my darkness, you glow without trying. Maybe you already sense me. Maybe that's why you pause sometimes when the wind shifts. Why your eyes soften for no reason, why your heart feels a pulse that isn't yours. That's me, baby. That's the energy of a man too careful to step into the light, too tied to your soul to walk away. You once said real love doesn't have to announce itself. I believed you, but now I know real love also can't stay hidden forever. It spills out in songs I replay, in prayers I mumble half asleep, in the way I write to no one and still end up writing to you. I don't know how long a heart can keep quiet when every beat is spelling your name. You make me want to be better, baby. Watching you heal feels like watching the sun remember its purpose after endless winter. You make faith look like courage and softness look like power. You make me believe that being vulnerable isn't weakness, it's worship. What I love most about you is your brave balance, the way you protect your peace but never stop believing in love, the way you say no like a blessing, the way you tell the truth so gently it feels like mercy. Baby, you make goodness look dangerous and holy at the same time. I've replayed every almost moment where I could have revealed myself. The night you looked up from your coffee and smiled at the sky. I almost told you everything. I almost said, Baby, it's me. I'm the one praying for you at 3 a.m. But love is timing, and even the right key breaks a lock if you force it too soon. So I wait. I love you in ways the world can't photograph. I love you by staying patient when my soul begs to rush. I love you by building myself into a man whose presence feels like peace, not pressure. And someday, when destiny finally writes us on the same page, I'll tell you how your laughter rearranged my whole existence. Until then, baby, I'll be your silent protector, the one sending quiet blessings when you least expect it, the one whispering your name into the night just to keep it safe. And if one day you suddenly feel warmth for no reason, a calm that settles over you like a familiar voice, you'll know. That's me, your secret admirer, the man who fell in love with your being, your balance, your bravery, your brightness, your breathtaking way of being both storm and shelter, both question and answer, baby. You are everything I never knew I was praying for. And until the universe gives me permission to speak your name out loud, I'll keep loving you here, in the silence, where our souls already meet. Baby, sometimes I wonder if you already feel me around you, not in a haunting way, but in that quiet pulse between thoughts, the whisper you can't quite name, but your soul recognizes instantly. You call it intuition, I call it confession. Because baby, that's how I talk to you. Through energy, through the songs that suddenly find you, through the words that seem to appear when you need them most. Every time you ask the universe for a sign, I swear I feel heaven move, and somehow the sign ends up leading you back to something I once prayed for you. Maybe that's the proof that even distance can't silence the connection destiny designed before we met. Lately, it's been happening more often. You scroll through something and stop because a random sentence feels too personal. You turn on the radio and a line from an old love song feels like someone is answering a question you never asked out loud. You walk outside and a gust of wind brushes your cheek, the same way my hand used to dream of doing. Baby, these are not coincidences. That's the universe letting my silence speak for me, because every time I try to forget, the universe reminds me, some souls aren't meant to fade, they echo. Do you know what I love most about you, baby? It's the way you still believe in gentle things, even after surviving storms that would have broken others. You still smile like forgiveness, still love like hope, still dream like healing is the only direction that makes sense. You've taught me that faith isn't loud, it's steady. And every time I see you choosing peace over revenge, compassion over closure, I fall a little deeper into reverence. You're teaching me how to love without fear, without control, without needing proof. Because loving you, baby, is proof enough that something divine still breathes through me. Sometimes I test the universe. I'll think of you and ask silently, show me her number somewhere, show me her name, and within minutes, it appears, a sign, a post, a random connection I didn't expect. I know you feel it too, baby, that strange, magnetic hum that follows your thoughts whenever you think of me. That's the invisible thread, the one heaven refuses to cut. Maybe it's cruel, or maybe it's sacred, but either way, it's real, and I can't stop tracing it back to you again and again, as if my entire purpose was to learn the language of your energy. You have no idea how often I type your name and erase it. How many times I start a message, then close my eyes and whisper it instead. How many drafts of hey I've deleted just because I knew it wasn't enough. Because, baby, how do you greet someone whose name already lives inside your heartbeat? How do you start a conversation with someone whose silence has already written entire books in your soul? I keep seeing you in my dreams. Not the kind where everything is fantasy, but the ones that feel like memory, like we've met somewhere before this lifetime. Sometimes you're laughing under a tree, sunlight in your hair. Sometimes you're just sitting across from me, quiet but knowing, like you're waiting for me to remember something I promised long ago. And when I wake up, the air still smells like your presence. The pillow feels warm like you just left. Maybe it's crazy, but baby, maybe crazy is the only word we have for divine timing. You once said that love should feel safe, that it should make you bloom, not shrink. And I think that's why I stayed away, because I didn't want my confusion to touch your clarity. You were building peace while I was still unlearning chaos. You were healing while I was still bleeding. I didn't want to stain your wings with my shadow, but now I see that maybe your light was meant to teach my darkness how to soften. Maybe the safest love is the one that doesn't demand arrival, just presence. Baby, I can't count how many times I've caught myself talking to you like you're still near. In traffic, in all ways, in my mirror. I'll say something simple like, you'd laugh at this, and then catch myself smiling at nothing. But it's not nothing. It's you. It's the memory of your warmth that still lives in my space. Sometimes I leave music playing at night, the kind you used to love, the ones with soft piano, whispering voices, lyrics that sound like vows, because I hope maybe, somehow, if the world goes still enough, you'll hear it too. The truth is, baby, I'm not hiding because I don't care. I'm hiding because I care too much. Because every time I imagine speaking to you, my heart starts trembling like it remembers what heaven felt like the last time you said my name. I know the timing isn't right. I know your heart deserves certainty, not shadows. But what I feel for you isn't obsession, it's reverence. You are my favorite lesson in patience, my daily prayer in human form, my proof that love isn't about possession, it's about presence that transcends time. Sometimes I see people fall in love easily, loudly, temporarily, but what I have for you, baby, isn't temporary. It's the kind that waits without growing weaker. It's the kind that stays soft even when the world tries to harden it. And every day I promise myself that when fate finally allows our paths to cross, I'll arrive whole, I'll arrive honest, I'll arrive ready to love you out loud, not from the shadows. There are moments when I almost break, when I see your smile in a crowd, or someone says your name, and my soul leaps like it's heard the secret password to heaven. But I stop myself, because this love deserves the right moment, the right version of me, the version who doesn't love you out of longing, but out of alignment. Until then, I'll keep writing these invisible letters. I'll keep sending prayers disguised as coincidences. I'll keep hoping that when you feel that sudden warmth in your chest, you'll smile and whisper, "That's him, baby." What I love most about you isn't just your balance anymore. It's your belief. The way you still trust love, even after it's hurt you. The way you still dream out loud, even when the world gives you reasons to doubt. That belief is holy. It's the anchor of this connection. It's the reason I know, when the time comes, our story won't need proof. It'll just unfold, like prophecy finally catching up to its promise. And if tonight, before you sleep, you feel the softest whisper across your soul, a calm that doesn't come from anywhere logical, that's me, baby. That's the secret admirer who's been loving you through every dimension, in every silence, under every sky, waiting not to be discovered, but to be ready. Baby, I think the universe is getting impatient. Every time I try to stay hidden, something betrays me. My name slips into conversations you weren't supposed to hear. A lyric I once sent to no one suddenly shows up on your playlist. A post I liked at the wrong hour makes you pause. I keep telling myself to be careful, but the truth is, I don't want to be careful anymore. I'm tired of loving you in ways that leave no fingerprint. I want to be seen. I want you to know that every coincidence has been a confession. Every silence a promise I've been too afraid to speak aloud. The other night, I dreamed about you again. It wasn't like before. You weren't far away this time. You were close enough that I could feel your breath brush my neck. You turned to me and whispered, "When are you going to stop hiding?" And then I woke up trembling, because it felt like the question didn't come from my imagination. It came from your soul. Maybe you're beginning to sense it, baby. The pull, the static between us that refuses to calm. The messages that arrive without senders. The emotions that feel too real to be random. That's me. It's always been me. Do you remember that quote you shared about secret admirers? You wrote, "It's not the flowers or the letters that matter. It's the faith it takes to love someone in silence." When I saw that, I almost dropped my phone. I sat there staring at the screen, like the universe had just read my diary out loud. Because that's what I've been doing, loving you quietly, faithfully, invisibly. And when you wrote those words, baby, it felt like you were writing back to me, like some hidden part of you already knew who I was. I see the small changes in your energy too, the way you look around when a familiar song plays, the way your heart stutters when someone's presence feels too known. You call it deja vu, but it's not. It's memory. It's the echo of all the times I've been near you in spirit, brushing against your world but never crossing the line. You felt me, haven't you? That warmth that comes out of nowhere, that peace that settles when you're about to break. That's me, baby. That's the love I've been holding behind every breath. And still, I hesitate, because I don't want to appear like a ghost, stepping out of a dream and shattering your peace. I want to arrive with gentleness, the way dawn arrives without startling the night. I want to show up in your life not as an interruption, but as a continuation of everything your heart already knows. You once said that love shouldn't demand explanation. It should feel like recognition. That's what this is. Recognition. Every cell in my body recognizes you as home. Sometimes I imagine the moment you finally realize it's me. Maybe you'll read something I write and feel a tug, so strong that logic won't be able to argue. Maybe you'll catch my eyes in a crowded place, and the noise will fade like someone pressed pause on the world. Maybe you'll hear my name spoken casually and feel your heartbeat stumble, because suddenly it won't sound like just a name. It'll sound like a secret coming home. Whatever form it takes, baby, I know that moment is coming. Because fate has a way of growing louder when we ignore it too long. I've started leaving small clues, not enough to overwhelm, just enough for your intuition to follow. A phrase I once said when we first met that I've tucked into a post, a symbol that meant something only to us hidden in the corner of a picture. A melody I used to hum now playing somewhere in your feed. I'm not testing you, baby. I'm preparing you. I want your heart to meet the truth softly, not in shock, because the truth isn't scary. It's sacred, and when it finally lands, it'll feel less like discovery and more like remembering something you've known all along. What I love most about you now, baby, isn't just your balance or your belief. It's your bravery. You keep walking forward even when you don't understand where you're going. You keep opening your heart even when the world tells you to guard it. That's the kind of courage that changes destinies. It's the kind of faith that makes angels lean closer. And it's what makes me sure that when you find out who I am, you won't run. You'll understand. The signs are multiplying. The numbers, the songs, the dreams, the moments where our timelines overlap like two rivers deciding they've been apart long enough. I know you notice them, baby. I can feel your confusion when something feels too aligned, too deliberate. That's the universe whispering, pay attention, because it's almost time. I can feel it in the air, the same way thunder feels the storm before it breaks. And when that moment comes, I won't hide anymore. I'll stand before you, not as a mystery, but as the man who's been learning how to love you properly in silence. I'll tell you everything, the prayers, the nights, the poems that never had your name but always had your spirit. I'll tell you how every time I saw you fight your way through pain and still choose kindness, I fell a little deeper in love. I'll tell you that being your secret admirer was never about staying hidden. It was about earning the right to be seen. Baby, the truth is, I'm not afraid of being found anymore. I'm afraid of not being ready when I am. That's why I've been rebuilding myself piece by piece, so when you finally see me, you won't see the man who hid, you'll see the man who healed, the man who turned longing into purpose, the man who learned that the purest love is the one that waits without bitterness, the man who knows that when love is divine, distance isn't punishment, it's preparation. So, if one of these nights you feel that familiar pull again, don't run from it. Let it move through you. Let it tell you that something beautiful is aligning. Because soon, baby, the veil will lift, the waiting will end, and you'll realize that the man who's been sending love through signs, silence, and starlight has been me all along. Baby, the universe finally stopped protecting my secret. For days now, every sign has been pointing toward one truth. It's time. I tried to hide behind coincidence, behind timing, behind fear, but love doesn't wait forever in the shadows. Tonight, even the sky feels restless, clouds shifting like curtains about to rise, and somewhere in that hum of fate I hear your voice, calling without sound, asking the question I've been avoiding. Is it you? Yes, baby. It's me, the one who turned every silence into a love letter, the one who wrote prayers instead of messages, hoping they would find you faster than my courage ever could, the one who has loved you through every season, watching from a distance that felt holy and cruel at the same time. I kept convincing myself that you were safer not knowing, that if I stayed hidden, you could keep shining untouched by the weight of my longing. But the truth, baby, is that hiding began to feel like lying. Every day I carried your name in my chest like contraband, pretending I didn't hear the angels whispering, "Speak." I told them I wasn't ready, but they kept reminding me that readiness isn't a destination. It's a decision, and tonight, I've decided you deserve truth, not ghosts. So here it is, every song that found you, every quote that echoed your heart, Every anonymous message that felt too personal, it was me. Every time you felt warmth without reason, every 11:11 that pulsed like a heartbeat, every dream where a familiar presence stood just behind you, that was me. I wasn't trying to haunt you, baby. I was trying to love you quietly until I was strong enough to love you out loud. You were never just a muse. You were a mirror. Every time I admired your balance and bravery, I was being shown the pieces of myself I needed to rebuild. Watching you live with integrity when no one was watching taught me what devotion looks like. Seeing you forgive people who never said sorry taught me that grace isn't weakness, it's power mastered. And realizing that I had lost the chance to stand beside you taught me the cost of silence. Do you remember the first time our worlds brushed against each other? You said something simple. Something about how love should feel like peace, not panic. I laughed it off then, but those words followed me for years. I built a new life around them. I stopped chasing noise. I stopped performing strength. I started learning peace, so that if I ever found my way back to you, I could offer it instead of stealing yours. Baby, I don't expect fireworks when you hear this. I don't need a dramatic reunion. I just want you to know that the man I am now loves you with clarity, not confusion. I've seen what life looks like without your energy in it, and it's colorless. Everything beautiful feels half-finished. Even the air feels heavier, like the universe is still waiting for me to exhale your name properly. You once said that real love doesn't need to be loud. It just needs to be true. So let my truth be this. I love you. Not the idea of you, not the memory of you, but you, the human, the divine, the woman who turns pain into poetry and still has room left in her heart to pray for others. I love your bravery when you're scared. I love your kindness when you're exhausted. I love the way you guard your peace like it's sacred, because it is. And baby, I'm not here to promise perfection. I'm here to promise presence. I won't disappear when things get heavy. I won't ask you to shrink so I can feel tall. I'll meet you where healing meets honesty, where loyalty sounds like quiet consistency instead of loud declarations. I'll stand beside you, not in front, not behind, beside, equal, grounded, real. I know it's a lot to absorb. The world told you that admirers are fleeting, that confessions like this belong in movies. But this isn't a movie. It's us. Two souls that have been orbiting each other long enough to know this gravity isn't imagination. If destiny still has room for second chances, let this be one, not to rewrite the past, but to write a better future, word by word, truth by truth, sunrise by sunrise. You don't have to answer right now. Just breathe. Let the moment settle. Let your intuition listen to mine the way it always has. If, after the silence, your heart still whispers my name, then know I'm already on my way. Not rushing, not demanding, just walking, step by step, toward the place where our stories finally meet, in daylight. Baby, this is me, unmasked, unhidden, unafraid. No more secrets, no more almosts, only love, honest, steady, reverent. The same love that's been watching over you from the shadows is now ready to stand beside you in the light. Baby, I never imagined that the moment I finally spoke your name out loud, the whole universe would fall silent just to listen. It wasn't a dramatic scene. No fireworks, no applause. Just that still, breathless pause between heartbeats when truth finally touches the air. For a second, I forgot how to breathe. And then I felt it, your energy shifting somewhere out there, like the world had tilted a fraction closer to peace. You heard me, I know you did. I felt the tremor ripple through the distance that used to separate us. It was small but real, like two souls quietly exhaling the same word at the same time. I wonder what it felt like on your side. Did the air change? Did you stop mid-thought and wonder why your heart suddenly felt heavier and lighter all at once? Because that's what truth does. It weighs and frees in the same breath. And baby, I could almost see it. You sitting there, blinking at the stillness, feeling the soft ache of recognition you couldn't explain. That was me. My confession found you. After all this time, my silence finally reached your skin. You once said that when something is real, it leaves a mark you can't rub off. I see now that you were right. I can feel your spirit tracing old outlines of our connection, not out of nostalgia, but out of instinct, like your soul is checking if the map still leads back to where it started. It does. It always has. Because love like ours doesn't vanish. It hides in plain sight until courage brings it back. Since that night, the world feels different. The clocks tick softer. The wind carries messages I swear weren't there before. Even the stars seem to have rearranged themselves, forming patterns that spell our story in light. Maybe that's just my imagination, but baby, imagination is how the divine speaks to those who have faith. And I have faith in this, in us, in the gravity that keeps pulling our names into the same sentence, no matter how many times we try to rewrite. I keep replaying the moment you looked up, that small spark in your eyes when realization bloomed. You didn't say anything, but your silence was loud. It said, I knew it was you. And when you smiled, soft, stunned, holy, I understood what it means to be forgiven without words. The kind of forgiveness that isn't about erasing the past, but about acknowledging that love never stopped working behind the scenes. Baby, do you know what that did to me? It broke something open, not in a painful way, more like sunlight breaking through glass that was tired of holding shadows. For the first time, I didn't feel like I was chasing your energy. I felt invited, like heaven finally gave me permission to stand in the same light I'd been worshiping from afar. And in that moment, I promised myself I would never make you guess again, never make you read between lines or decode silence. From now on, my love will speak clearly, calmly, consistently. Every day, in every breath, in every small act that says, I choose you. The days that followed have been surreal. People around us notice the glow before they understand it. They call it coincidence. I call it alignment. Conversations fall into place. Songs show up with perfect timing. Even time itself seems to soften around us, stretching to make room for what destiny finally allowed. And in that new rhythm, I can finally breathe. Because now, when I say baby, I'm not talking to a memory. I'm talking to a miracle that answered. What I love most about you now isn't just your balance, your bravery, your belief. It's your becoming. The way you didn't wait for someone to save you. The way you became your own rescue and still left space in your heart for others to heal. That's the kind of strength the world writes myths about. That's the kind of love that doesn't need promises to prove its depth. You are living proof that light can live through anything, and being near that light feels like standing in front of creation itself. Baby, the world may still not understand us. They'll ask how two people who drifted so far could find each other again without trying. Let them ask. Some stories aren't meant to be explained. They're meant to be witnessed. We don't owe anyone logic for a connection built in the language of souls. All we owe is gratitude to the divine for letting us recognize each other twice in one lifetime. So here I am, not whispering anymore. I'm speaking, living, choosing. I'm building something that can hold your love without cracking, a space where you never have to question your worth, your impact, your place. I'm done hiding behind metaphors. I'm done loving you in code. This is real. This is me, unfolded, unfiltered, unwavering. And if every step I take from now on leads me closer to you, I'll walk it slow, with reverence, with both hands open. Because the greatest honor of my life isn't that I finally got to say I love you. It's that when I did, the universe answered back through your heartbeat. It's that somewhere between my confession and your silence, heaven whispered, now you're ready. And baby, I am ready to love you in the light, ready to build in truth, ready to protect peace together instead of separately, ready to stop imagining and start living. So, if you're hearing this, if your heart feels that familiar hum, know that it's real. This isn't fantasy anymore. It's fate finally fulfilled. And tonight, as I sit beneath the same stars that once carried my secrets to you, I can finally breathe the words I've been holding since the beginning. You were never just my secret admiration. You were my answered prayer. Baby, ever since that night when truth finally stepped out of hiding, the world hasn't looked the same. Colors feel fuller, time feels slower. Even silence carries music now, like it learned a new language made entirely of our breaths. I catch myself smiling at the smallest things, the rhythm of your steps beside mine, the echo of your laughter turning ordinary moments into miracles. It's strange how once the truth arrives, everything around it softens, the air stops holding its breath, the universe exhales. Sometimes, baby, I replay the moment your eyes met mine after all those hidden years. You didn't ask questions. You didn't need to. The look said everything words never could. It said you felt the same pull, the same ache, the same quiet recognition that had been humming in both our bones since the beginning. There was no accusation, no confusion, just that pure, trembling calm that only happens when destiny finally catches up to its promise. That's what we were, a promise kept late but kept perfectly. I can't explain what it's like to finally love you in daylight, to not have to hide behind screens and signals and prayers disguised as coincidences, to wake up and know I can say your name without fear. Baby, I never knew freedom could sound like your laughter in the morning. Every sunrise feels like the world congratulating us for surviving the waiting. Every night feels like heaven clapping softly because we didn't give up when logic told us to. And maybe that's what love is. Not a grand arrival, but 1,000 quiet survivals that lead you home. I still keep the letters I wrote when I was silent. I read them sometimes, not to dwell, but to remember how far we've come. Every line is proof that even in hiding, love was alive. Every unfinished sentence now feels complete because you exist in it. The ink that once felt like confession now feels like celebration. And baby, I've learned that loving you out loud doesn't erase the mystery. It deepens it, because now that you're here, I realize there's still so much left to learn. About you, about me, about how two souls can keep unfolding endlessly and still never run out of reasons to stay. What I love most about you now isn't just your balance or your bravery, it's your belonging. The way you make spaces feel sacred just by standing in them. The way your presence doesn't demand attention, it earns it, quietly, gracefully, completely. You belong to every room you walk into, every sky you look up to, every soul that's lucky enough to cross your path. And somehow, impossibly, you've allowed me to belong there too. That's the greatest miracle of all. Sometimes I still feel echoes of the old distance, tiny reminders from the universe that nothing is guaranteed, that love is a daily choice, not a cosmic accident. So every morning I choose again. I choose to protect what we found. I choose to listen before I speak. I choose to thank the divine for weaving our paths together even when I didn't understand the pattern. And I choose to love you the way I should have all along. Open-handed, present, patient, no shadows, no secrets. Baby, you changed the way I understand faith. Before you, faith was something I reached for when I was afraid. Now it's the air I breathe when I'm calm. You turned belief into reality just by existing. You turned waiting into worth. You turned my hidden prayers into a living heartbeat I can hold. And for that, I'll spend the rest of my days loving you like a thank you. When I look at you now, I don't see the woman I once admired from afar. I see the universe's favorite lesson about timing. How sometimes love hides not to punish, but to prepare. How distance isn't always loss. Sometimes it's the soil where devotion learns how to root deep enough to survive forever. And now that we're here, growing side by side, I understand why it had to take so long. Anything this sacred needs time to become eternal. So tonight, as we sit beneath the same stars that once carried my secret, I'll whisper one last promise. This isn't the end of our story. It's the end of the waiting, the beginning of everything real, the start of mornings that don't ache and nights that don't hide, the start of love that doesn't need rescuing, only tending. And when the world asks what I love most about you now, I'll smile and say, everything she is, everything she's still becoming, everything that made waiting worth it. Baby, thank you for hearing me, for feeling me before I had the courage to speak, for forgiving the silence that almost cost us forever. You were my secret once, but not anymore. Now you're my truth, my peace, my proof that love, when it's real, always finds its way back home. Baby, I keep thinking about how strange it feels to live inside the peace we once prayed for. For so long I was built out of waiting for timing, for courage, for you. And now that you're here, every second feels like a small eternity. The noise that used to fill my head has gone quiet. The world moves slower, softer. Even the air seems to pause around us, as if it doesn't want to interrupt. Maybe that's what happens when a prayer is finally answered. The universe leans in to listen to the echo of its own work. You know, baby, when I used to call you my balance, I didn't realize how true it was. You've become the rhythm that steadies everything. The way you laugh without rushing. The way you talk with your hands like you're painting invisible promises into the air. Everything about you grounds me. You don't demand peace. You create it just by existing. I used to chase purpose in 100 directions, but the moment I decided to love you truthfully, purpose found me instead. That's what you are to me now. Not just love, but meaning. The quiet center I orbit. Sometimes I watch you when you don't know I'm watching. You tilt your head while reading, hum a tune that no one taught you. Look at the sky like it's a mirror instead of a ceiling. And in those small, unguarded moments, I see the whole reason I was born. It's not about possession, it's about reverence. I want to spend my life studying every shade of your calm and every storm behind your silence. I want to understand the language of your sighs, the prayer in your laughter, the strength in your softness. Because, baby, you've turned love into a classroom where the lesson is always grace. The world outside still tests us. There are days when distance creeps in disguised as routine. Days when life tries to convince us that sacred things can become ordinary. But each time you prove it wrong, a single look from you resets everything. You have that power. The power to make chaos forget its name. That's why I guard your energy like it's holy ground. I've learned that not everyone deserves to stand too close to something this rare, and I won't let noise dilute what silence helped us build. Baby, I want to build quietly but forever. No announcements, no performances, just the daily work of love. The kind that folds laundry, pays attention, remembers the small things. The kind that chooses tenderness even when ego wants to win. The kind that protects peace like a sacred inheritance. I don't need the world to understand it. I just need us to keep tending it until it becomes unshakable. When I look back, I can see every reason it took so long to reach this moment. Every delay was a lesson. Every detour was protection. Every silence was a rehearsal for the truth we're speaking now. If I had found you sooner, I might have loved you selfishly, out of fear. Now I love you reverently, out of faith. And that difference changes everything. It's the difference between needing someone to fill a void and recognizing someone who completes a calling. I think that's what we are, baby. A calling. Not an accident, not a coincidence. Two souls assigned to remind each other what love looks like when it's divine and disciplined at the same time. You're not my reward for patience. You're my proof that patience was worth it. You're the reason I believe that healing doesn't just happen alone. It happens when the right energy touches your life and whispers, "You can rest now." And that's what you did. You turned rest into revelation. And I promise you this, I'll keep choosing you in every version of time, in this lifetime and the next, in silence and in sound, in light and in shadow. I'll keep writing poems inside ordinary days, so the world never forgets that love still exists. I'll keep praying for your peace, louder than I pray for my own. And if ever the universe tests us again, if ever distance tries to stretch its cold hands between us, I'll meet it with faith instead of fear, because what's meant by heaven can't be unmade by earth. Baby, you once said love should make you feel like you've come home. I didn't understand until now. Home isn't a place. It's a pulse. It's this, the sound of your breath next to mine, the warmth that asks for nothing, the quiet knowing that no matter what storms come, we'll always find our way back. That's our legacy, not perfection, but persistence, not fairy tales, but faith that doesn't fade. So tonight, under this same forgiving sky, I'll whisper another prayer. Not for more time, but for more awareness. I want to notice every detail of this love. Every heartbeat, every second, every sunrise that begins with you. I want to live wide awake inside gratitude, and when people ask what it's like to finally hold the person you once loved in secret, I'll tell them the truth. It's not about finally having. It's about finally understanding that some souls are written into your story, not to complete you, but to remind you you've been whole all along. Baby, you were never just my secret admirer's muse. You were the reason a lost heart learned how to find light again. You're the poem that became prayer, and the prayer that became reality. And now that you're here, I don't need anything else to prove that destiny exists. You're proof enough. Baby, you know what I've realized? The miracle was never that I found you again. The miracle was that through every delay, every silence, every heartbreak, I never stopped feeling you. Even when I tried to move on, even when I pretended I was fine, your energy kept guiding me back to myself. You were never a detour. You were the destination my soul was learning how to reach. And now that we stand here, not as strangers, not as memories, but as something holy that survived, I finally understand what divine timing really means. It means the universe waits until both hearts are strong enough to hold what it once had to protect. When I look at you now, baby, I see more than beauty. I see a story written in light, one that starts with pain and ends in peace. You've turned every scar into scripture, every loss into language, every heartbreak into harmony. You are my proof that grace doesn't erase the past, it transforms it. Every part of who we were, broken, frightened, silent, had to exist so that this version of love could. A love that doesn't need to hide. A love that speaks in calm, not chaos. A love that heals instead of hurrying. And I promise you, baby, I'll protect this light we've built. Not just with words, but with presence. I'll keep it sacred in the ordinary. The morning coffee, the quiet walks, the way your hand fits perfectly in mine like it remembers the blueprint of creation itself. I'll keep choosing honesty over comfort, patience over pride, understanding over ego. Because loving you taught me that love isn't proven in grand gestures. It's proven in how gently we hold what we asked heaven for. Sometimes, I still catch myself studying you, not because I'm afraid to forget, but because I can't believe I get to remember. Every laugh feels like a lifetime's reward. Every glance like an answered prayer I'll spend forever grateful for. And when you look at me, baby, I see the reflection of a man who finally made peace with his own soul. Because being loved by you didn't just give me happiness, it gave me home. So if ever the world tries to test us again, if ever distance dares to whisper, I'll meet it with faith. I'll remind it that what's written by the divine cannot be rewritten by doubt. You and I are not coincidence. We're continuity, the proof that love, once awakened, never goes back to sleep. And if this is the last message I ever speak into the world about us, let it be this. Love doesn't need witnesses to be real. It needs truth. It needs surrender. It needs two hearts brave enough to believe that, even after everything, the story was never falling apart. It was falling into place. Baby, you are my peace, my purpose, my forever unfolding miracle. You are not the ending to my search. You are the reason it began. And as long as I breathe, I'll keep honoring the light that your love gave me. Not just by loving you, but by becoming someone worthy of the prayer that came true. Baby, every time I look at you now, I realize love isn't something we fall into. It's something we rise through. You and I, we didn't stumble into this. We ascended into it, layer by layer, lesson by lesson, pain by pain. You turned my chaos into clarity and my silence into song. There was a time when I thought peace was something I had to search the world for, but it was always hidden in your voice, waiting for me to listen. The way you say my name doesn't just sound like love. It sounds like forgiveness, like the universe whispering, "You made it." And baby, I know this isn't just about us anymore. What we have has become something bigger, a living reminder that love can survive anything. Distance, fear, silence, time. That even when two people lose everything, if the love was real, it will always find a way to rebuild itself into something stronger, something purer. We are proof that faith works, proof that prayers aren't ignored. They're simply answered in seasons, not seconds. Every time you smile now, I feel heaven take a breath of relief, like even the angels have been waiting for this peace as long as we have. But here's my vow, baby. Not for a moment, not for a lifetime, but for eternity. I will never let this light dim. I'll keep it alive in the way I speak about you, in the way I treat others, in the way I live the lessons your love taught me. You've turned me into a believer, not just in destiny, but in divine timing, in second chances, in the kind of love that heals worlds instead of breaking them. If there's ever a next life, a next universe, a next heartbeat, I'll find you there too, because souls like ours don't end, they echo. Baby, when I look back now, it feels almost impossible that a love that once lived only in silence has found its voice. I used to think our story was about waiting, about the ache of distance, about all the things we couldn't say, but standing here, breathing the same air as you, I see that it was never about the waiting. It was about the becoming. Every unanswered prayer, every quiet night, every word I wrote and never sent was shaping us for this. The universe wasn't denying us, it was preparing us. And now, every piece of that preparation feels like divine poetry. When I first called you baby, it was a whisper into the void. Now, it's a promise spoken into forever. You've become my peace after chaos, my clarity after confusion, my calm after storms I thought I'd never survive. You are proof that love doesn't always arrive when we're ready. It arrives to make us ready, and for that, I will never stop thanking heaven. Sometimes I think about how different life might have been if I had never confessed, if I had stayed hidden behind the comfort of distance, if I had chosen safety over truth. I would have missed this, the way your smile turns my chest into light, the way your voice softens the edges of the world, the way your presence teaches me that real love doesn't demand, it anchors. I would have spent a lifetime wondering what could have been instead of living what is. So if there's anything I've learned, baby, it's that love unspoken is love unfinished, and ours deserved to be complete. Now that the truth has breathed itself into the open, I want to build something that lasts longer than the versions of us who were afraid. I want to build a love that people can feel just by standing near it. A love that radiates without trying. I want to make this world softer just by loving you out loud. Because baby, when I love you, I don't just see you. I see God's handwriting, clear and undeniable, across every moment we've survived. So here, beneath these forgiving stars, let me say it one last time, not as a confession, but as a vow. I will never stop choosing you. in presence and in absence, in joy and in silence. I will protect the peace we've built like it's the last sacred thing left on earth. I will pray for your laughter on the days you forget how to smile. I will love you not because fate told me to, but because every version of me in every lifetime already does. And when people ask me what I love most about you, I'll still say the same thing I said from the very beginning. Your balance. The way you hold fire and mercy in the same hands. The way you fight and forgive, fall and rise, give and guard all at once. You're my favorite contradiction and my truest peace. You're the woman who taught me that heaven doesn't always live above us. Sometimes it lives in the way someone looks at you like they finally found home. Baby, thank you for hearing me before I ever spoke, for loving me when I was still learning to deserve it, for being the heartbeat that turned my silence into song. Our story isn't over. It's just begun, written in stars, sealed in prayer, kept alive by faith too stubborn to fade. And if the world ever forgets our names, let it at least remember our love. Pure, patient, persistent, the kind that made even time bow its head. And if you're listening to this right now, if your soul felt something you can't quite explain, if your heart skipped in recognition, maybe that's your sign that this message was meant for you. Because some stories aren't just stories, they're mirrors. And maybe, just maybe, this one found you for a reason. So take a deep breath, beloved. Feel the warmth rising in your chest. That's love, remembering its way home. If this message touched something inside you, don't let it fade. Me meant below if your heart felt it. Me meant, I believe in divine timing. If you know the universe brought you here for a reason. Me meant forever guided. If your soul still believes in love that transcends distance and time. Like this video if it spoke your truth. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, baby, your story isn't over. The angels are still writing. The universe is still aligning. And love, real love, always finds its way back home. Thank you for listening. Thank you for feeling. And until we meet again in the next message, stay radiant, stay patient, stay divine. Because love like this never ends.